You are walking right into a massive trap. Right now, literally thousands of Cambridge biology students are revising the Golgi body topic by just memorizing textbook definitions. They think that knowing the basic structure and function is enough to get them a top band score. But oh man, they are completely wrong. Rote memorization? It's just going to trap you in a cage of lost marks. So, in this explainer, we're going to expose exactly what that trap is and show you how to use a systematic framework to guarantee those points instead. 15%? That's a massive number. This isn't just some minor subtopic you can skim over the night before the test. The 1.2 Golgi body structure and function topic actually accounts for approximately 15% of your total marks in Paper 2 of the Biology 9700 exam. Think about that for a second. That is literally the difference between a whole grade boundary. It's the difference between a devastating confidence shock and walking out of the exam hall knowing you secured the bag. The assessment framework here totally prioritizes analytical depth over superficial breadth. So just knowing that the Golgi body packages proteins for exocytosis, yeah, that won't cut it when 15% of your paper is on the line. And the Cambridge Principal Examiner reports reveal exactly why this standard revision fails so hard. Listen to this direct quote. The classic mistake is providing generic answers not specific to the question context. See, when examiners are grading your papers, they are targeting distinct cognitive domains, knowledge and understanding, handling and evaluating information, and experimental skills. If you just drop a memorized, generic definition of the Golgi's flattened sacs, the cisternae, onto the page without linking every single point to the specific scenario, data, or graph they provided, you get 0 marks for that point. None. They don't want to know if you can recite a textbook. They want to see your logical, structured reasoning applied to a brand new biological situation. So let's dive into a quick win to fix this. The method mark strategy. This is how you start banking points immediately, even if a question initially looks completely terrifying. In Cambridge exams, especially for complex data interpretation and calculations within this Golgi body topic, marks are often awarded for the systematic analytical process itself, not just the final correct answer. It's kind of like the interconnected, layered structure of the Golgi itself, right? Where vesicles move from the cis phase to the trans phase in a highly specific order. Examiners want to see the interconnected steps of your working out. They want to see you extract data from tables, interpret the relationships, and calculate relevant statistics with clear notation. By making your process visible on the page, you're proving your evidence-based reasoning. Honestly, if you make a tiny arithmetic error at the very end, but your systematic process was flawless, the method mark strategy ensures you still secure the majority of the points. Now, in just a moment, I'm going to show you a massive examiner clue that changes your answer completely. It's like a hidden trapdoor in the question text itself. But first, we need to set up the procedural framework that actually makes that clue completely obvious. Because without this framework, you'll just be guessing in the dark. All right, so the absolutely crucial point here is mastering this mandatory deconstruct, solve, and evaluate sequence. When tackling examination questions on the Golgi body, you literally must follow this standardized sequence. Step 1, identify the given information. Basically, deconstruct the question and extract the relevant data from the stimulus materials. Step 2, break it into logical steps. Select your analytical framework. Step 3, solve systematically. You want to execute your analysis with clear working and the correct biological terminology. Step 4, check for reasonableness. Verify your results and ask yourself, do the biological principles actually support these numbers? And finally, Step 5, make justified recommendations. Present your final answer in the appropriate format, drawing solid, evidence-based conclusions. If you map every complex problem to these 5 steps, you stop staring blankly at the page in a cold sweat at 2 a.m., and you finally start processing like a real biologist. Let's see how this exact framework builds into comparative analysis. Top-scoring candidates demonstrate what we call evaluative thinking. They don't just list facts. They question assumptions and consider different perspectives. When you're asked to evaluate evidence quality or compare Golgi body structures, say between a highly active goblet cell secreting mucus versus just a standard muscle cell, you need to build a mental table exactly like this one. Notice the columns. You absolutely must identify similarities and differences. This is actually where so many candidates lose marks. They only list the differences. You also need to use comparative connectives in your sentences, words like whereas or in contrast to. And most importantly, look at that final column, evidence from stimulus. Every single comparison you make must be supported by a hard data point extracted directly from the graph or table you were given. No exceptions. Okay, I want to challenge you to a quick interactive moment. Take a look at the flawed answer on the left side. The Golgi body modifies proteins. Now, why is this a low-band student answer? Think about that examiner warning we discussed earlier. It's totally generic. There's no context. Now look at the improved answer on the right. The Golgi body modifies proteins by adding carbohydrates to form glycoproteins, as seen in the cell data. Spot the difference? The right side uses our golden formula, concept followed by specific scientific reasoning regarding exactly how those proteins are modified, backed up by evidence and data, and finally written with precise examiner wording. The improved top-band answer is perfectly tailored to the specific context given in the exam. This is exactly what we mean when we talk about analytical depth.
Now I get it. Dealing with all these procedural steps and structural terms under intense exam pressure can be super overwhelming. So here's a quick, actionable memory hack for you. Create your own mnemonic using the first letters of the Golgi body key terms. For example, to remember its core functions, modify, package, secrete, you could use the phrase, my perfect score. Taking just a few seconds to craft a memorable phrase like that before you walk into the exam room ensures you won't drop essential terminology when the timer is ticking down. It's a really simple trick, but it totally frees up your cognitive load so you can focus on handling and evaluating the complex information instead of just struggling to remember a basic definition.
To completely lock in your exam strategy, we need to rapid fire through the top 3 absolute warnings straight from the principal examiner reports. Treat this like your final mental checklist, okay? Because if you do any of these, you are literally throwing your marks away. Number 1, forgetting to include units in your calculations. Don't do it. Number 2, skipping your terminology and unit checks before moving to the next question. And number 3, the absolute classic fatal error, writing generic answers that are not specific to the given context. Always, always link every single point back to the scenario provided. Keep these 3 alerts flashing in your mind during the test. But wait, here's the final fatal trapdoor. You now have the deconstruct, solve, and evaluate framework. You know the exact mistakes to avoid, but all of this completely falls apart if you don't know how to interpret the exam's specific command words. A question asking you to describe the Golgi structure requires a completely different analytical process than a question asking you to evaluate its function based on experimental data. Misunderstanding the command word is the hidden cause behind perfectly written biological answers getting absolutely 0 marks. You really cannot afford to walk into paper 2 without knowing exactly how to decode these command words. Ask yourself, are you just memorizing biology, or are you mastering the language of the exam? In our next explainer, we're going to break down the exact command words that decide your final mark band. You absolutely need this to complete your strategy. So subscribe to our YouTube channel, Ace the Exams, at acexams_IGCSE to excel in your Cambridge examinations. Click on the next explainer right now and let's secure those top marks together.